Hello and welcome to Wising Arts Centre Studio Artists Live. So we're here every day this week from Monday to Friday here on YouTube, highlighting some of our studio artists here at Wising. So we're working with 10 different studio artists across the week, every day at 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. So don't worry if you're not able to make the live streams every day. We're also saving the broadcasts on the wisingbroadcast.art platform, so you can go back and watch the videos later. So the session will be a chance to get to know the artists. So today we're working with Sally Plowman, how they work, as well as the artist providing a creative prompt for you to try out and experiment with at home. So if you're listening live on YouTube, then please feel free to log in and ask questions in the chat as we go along. We've already got some questions via Instagram, and we'll ask these and any that come up during the session at the end. So do feel free to write comments or questions. We'd love to hear from you. But for now, I'm going to hand over to Sally, who's the artist that we're working with today. So welcome, Sally.
Hi, thank you. Hi. So I'm Sally. I graduated from Slade in 2020, last year, and then joined Wising as a studio artist also last year in October. Today I'm going to talk a bit about the work that I make, which is mainly performance, and also what inspires me. And then I'm going to talk through two clowning and movement exercises that you can do at home. And even if you're not interested in performance, they're really good ways of sort of getting unstuck or getting out of a creative block. And you can also use them to think about different ways of making art and different ways of presenting art. So, as I said, I am very interested in clowning, which I came to after I did this mime performance called Pierre's Date at the De La War Pavilion in Bexhill-on-Sea in 2018. And before I did this, I thought clowns were like children's entertainers or Ronald McDonald. But then I got more and more interested in them and realised there's this huge history and quite a specific, complex way of performing. So I began reading, researching, taking notes, and I also did John Davison's clowning workshops in East London, which were amazing. As you can see, I love mind maps. I think they're really useful for me to sort of develop ideas. And I first came across them in school, and I still use them now. I'm always making notes. I always have like a notebook and a pad of paper. And then I think mind mapping is a really good technique to collect all of these ideas. And then sometimes a performance will come out of that, or maybe the words will become part of a script. But anyway, back to clowning. And for those of you who don't know much about it, there is a huge array of clown characters throughout history that you can research. There's also like radical clowns, clown doctors, all sorts of things. But today I'm just going to talk about two ways of performing as a clown that I am really interested in my work. And they're also relevant when we get onto the exercises later. So the first point is about listening and responding to yourself and to an audience. So clowns are really, really honest with their feelings, whether that's good or bad. They really exaggerate their movements, like big movements, big facial expressions. And while of course clowning is about making people laugh, it's about playing games and having fun, they also pick up on the negative emotions like sadness, anger, failure. And in doing this, in exaggerating these emotions, when we watch a clown, we see the same emotions in ourselves that we're taught to push down and not fully express. And so this creates a really deep connection with the audience. And the clown also responds to this. So if we're watching a play, for example, a traditional play, we might be sat in the dark as an audience and the actors might be on the stage. And there's a very clear distinction between the audience and the performers. But if we watch a clown, they might talk to the audience, they might look at the audience, interact with the audience. They might change their actions depending on how the audience are responding. So if they do something funny, and the audience laughs, the clown might do that thing again. So it really becomes a sort of conversation between these two people. And we call this sometimes breaking the fourth wall. You can see this in this clip called The Detective by Nola Ray, where she takes a man out of the audience. So you can see that not only does she bring this man into her performance, she also brings the whole audience in by making everyone laugh together. So now I'm going to talk about the second key point of clowning, which is how clowns react to objects in ridiculous and silly ways. So clowns tend to have a sort of childlike way of thinking and their own particular way of thinking and logic in how they interact with the world, which often doesn't make sense to us. And it made me think of Dr. Seuss's The Cat in the Hat Comes Back, where the cat in the hat is trying to wipe up this pink stain with bigger and bigger objects, and then eventually the whole scene is covered in pink. And it also made me think of this very famous American clown known as Weary Willie from the 1960s. I'll just play. So there we saw not only does the spotlight act in a way that an object wouldn't usually, moving around on its own, but also the clown is able to sweep up the object and manipulate that and change that in a really strange, weird way. So thinking about these two things, listening and responding to yourself and the audience, and also reacting in a ridiculous way, I began developing performances. Here's a picture of my parents, my mum and dad, who will be joining us in a moment to demonstrate. And we worked together a lot. We developed a performance together called Stucky Recycles, which we put on at Supernormal Festival in 2019. And here's a screenshot of one of our rehearsals. So we would play games, clown games, movement exercises, and then go through each different part of the performance again and again, and we'd film it and then watch back the films, make notes, change things, and continue doing this until we got to this finished performance, which was about responding to ideas about recycling and community effort about doing the right thing, and how that's often not quite the right thing at all. So anyway, my work is not just about trying to be a clown exactly, but more about using these ideas to and fitting them into my own interests. So this was another performance that I did online last year called The Dog End Adam Messina Extended. And you can see, still with my mum and dad, of course, but you can see we're no longer wearing the face paint or the costumes. We've moved away from the exaggerated movements of the clown, but we're still keeping elements of clowning. So in this clip I'm about to play, we become a sort of strange rock band, really seeing how far we can push our emotions. So really exaggerating how we feel and becoming a bit ridiculous. And finally, I just want to talk about how I also use these elements to make sculptures, using the feelings of the clown to put it into an object rather than a performance. So this is a piece called Someone Cut My Brakes that I made last year. And it's a drum kit made out of a bike. And I was thinking about the failure of these two objects to perform in the way that they're supposed to perform, and the humour that comes out of this. And also thinking about how an audience can interact with art. So this can be sat on and played, as a drum kit. So again, like the clown might do in a theatre setting, that sort of breaks the barriers between art and audience, or audience and performer. Which brings us on to exercise number 1, which I want to talk you through, which is about, it's quite a quick warm-up that you can do. It's about noticing your feelings and then seeing how far you can push these emotions around a situation that I'm going to talk you through. And it also picks up on the ridiculousness of how clowns react to objects, much like we saw Weary Willy reacting to the spotlight. You might feel a bit silly at first, but remember that I can't see you. You can do this on your own, and so you can really like let go and loosen up and concentrate on expressing yourself. So you can join in now at home, or you can save the video for later, and you can also just use this as a prompt for moving. You don't have to follow these instructions exactly. So I'm going to talk you through, and my glamorous assistants, Nicola and John, my mum and dad, are going to demonstrate. So you can sit down or make some space to stand up for this, but I'd like us all to begin with our feet on the ground, closing our eyes. Take a few breaths and settle into wherever you're sitting or standing. Feel the floor beneath your feet. If you're sitting, feel the pressure of your weight on the chair. Think about what you're feeling right now. Now, I want you to imagine a gentle drip of cold water slowly dripping onto the top of your head. Not reacting yet, just feeling that small pressure on your head. And spend some time feeling the coldness, feeling the water in your hair, maybe on your face. How does this make you feel? When you're ready, you can open your eyes and start to react to that feeling. Remember, it's still just a gentle drip, but it's already uncomfortable. You may want to wipe your head or look up to see where the water is coming from. You might try and move your head out of the way, but you realize the drip is following you, almost like it's attached to the top of your head. And the drip is getting stronger now. The cold water is coming down a bit faster, and I want you to start to exaggerate your reactions to it. So make your movements a bit bigger, make your facial expressions a bit bigger. Remember, it's really uncomfortable and you can't find out where the water is coming from, and you can't turn it off and it's following you. And now it's coming down even stronger. How are you feeling now? Really make big movements. You might want to get up out of your chair or run away from the drip, and it's still following you. And by this point, there's cold water pouring down on your head, and I really want you to express the frustration, the anger, the discomfort, the sadness that this makes you feel. And now this should not be a realistic expression of emotion. You might be trying to dodge the water, you might be throwing a tantrum, you might be curled up into a ball. Really push that exaggerated emotion. And suddenly, the cold water that's pouring on your head is becoming warm. How does that make you feel? I want you to act really, really happy now, the happiest you've ever been in your life, and use your whole body to show this, still really exaggerating this emotion. And as soon as you start to react like this, the shower of water starts to slow down and become a steady drip on the top of your head, and then a gentle drip on the top of your head. And then it's gone. Phew, you can shake off the water and come back to the screen for the next exercise. Well done. Thank you, Nicola and John, for your help. So I hope that will make you really think about what you're feeling in this moment, and also how you can push your emotions and how you can use what you're feeling to create performance, and also to help think about everyday objects and scenarios in new ways. So the next activity is a game that I played in Holly Stoppett and Robin Hambrook's Clown Course 1 on Zoom, which there will be a link to if you're interested. So in clowning, you tend to spend about half the time looking at the audience, and you as a performer basically pull the audience into your world. So it's really important to think about how this works in other art forms as well. So how are you going to engage your audience? How are you going to interact with the people that are going to see your art? So this exercise is about listening and responding to and becoming aware of the audience. It's also just a really fun game to play, and you can play it in your household in person, or you can play it on video call with your friends. And again, you might feel a bit silly at first doing this, but that is the point, just to lose any sense of self-consciousness that's holding you back. And playing is something that we're really good at as children, but we tend to lose as we get older. And it's a great skill to have to develop ideas, and again, to just let go of any self-consciousness that you will have. So I'm going to bring back Nicola and John for this. You'll need at least 3 people. 2 of us will be audience, and 1 of us will be performer. So the performer first will go and hide. Yes. And we're going to come up with one action that we want Nicola to do when she comes back. Can you think of an action? Yep, that's a good one. It can be really simple. It can be anything you want. So when Nicola comes back, if she gets close to doing the action, we're going to do this with our hands. And if she gets the action, we're going to cheer. Remember, she has no idea what the action is, so she really has to look at us and respond to how we're reacting. So I am going to set a timer for 2 minutes. You can set one for longer or not have a timer at all. Okay, ready? Let's go. With just 20 seconds to spare, she got it. Well done. And remember, it's not just about it's not just a competition about whether you can get that action in this time. It's more about, yeah, like I said, listening to the audience and responding to each other. And if we were to continue playing, then we'd take it in turns. Who would be the performer and who would be the audience? Okay, that's everything from me. Thanks for listening. Any questions?
Thank you, Sally. It's really great to hear different approaches to just kind of playing games. Mm-hmm. And I had a question for you that was around, I guess, the idea of play that seems important in your work. And do you think that you could, if someone was just playing around, playing one of those games, do you think that would be enough to make it into an artwork or something else?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, some of the funniest and also like quite profound moments often come when you're doing these things that you're not necessarily thinking about. So playing one of these games, for example, you end up like moving your body in such weird ways that often that's really interesting and yeah, like brings out something that you wouldn't have consciously thought to do. So yeah, definitely it's yeah, sometimes really interesting to see what happens from play.
Yeah, because I think it's interesting when you're thinking about clowning or even performance more generally, maybe you think of the traditional roles that you might have there, sort of a director and a producer. And do you see your role as an artist as sort of directing people, or are you more collaborating with people in that performance?
It's something that I'm maybe still trying to figure out, I think. Uh, I really, really love collaboration. I think what I make music sometimes as well, and that's the thing in that I love so much, is like the connection with people. And same with clowning and playing games, it's all about being connected to each other. Um, but you can sort of have that, you can be collaborative and also have more of a direction in it. If you like provide a direction, then you can collaborate to create something, which is what usually happens when we're making stuff together, me and my parents.
Thank you. And Sally, have you got any final sort of tips for someone if they're interested in sort of being an artist or even just trying out performance, if they're a bit nervous, trying something new? Have you got any tips?
I know it's really hard to take this advice, but it's really just about doing it. It's like if you have an inclination, if you want to do something, you sort of just have to do it, especially if it's scary. Those are often the most life-changing things you can do. Before I did clown classes, I was so scared, and it like completely changed my life. So I think, and sometimes you realize that you love doing something that you wouldn't have otherwise realized. So I realized that I love performing from trying it out, and I would never have known otherwise. So yeah, just like going for things that you maybe want to do, I think is good.
Thank you, Sally. I think it's really refreshing to hear, and also just hearing about your process and how you're often working with other people, testing ideas out, not necessarily knowing where they're going to go, and being okay with that, and just then seeing where that play takes you. Maybe good advice.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you so much, Sally, and thank you to your parents as collaborators as well and getting involved. And just as a reminder, we are here every day as part of Discover Creative Careers Week on YouTube Live. And if you didn't manage to catch all of the conversations, then you can watch them back on the wising.broadcast.art platform, and check out some different creative inspirations, or try and have a go at some of the games that Sally suggested as well. So thank you very much, Sally, and thank you everyone for watching, and hope to see you again soon.
Thank you.